Hi, my name is Nicole Mendy with DHS Management, and I have Xfinity Mobile. I love that it connects to the Xfinity Wi-Fi anywhere I travel, and I get great service even when I go up north to visit my cousins in a very rural area. I love that it's also very inexpensive. I have the pay by the gig, and I put the unlimited data on my husband's phone alone, and my bill is under $100 a month, and he's on his phone a lot. I would highly recommend checking this out and getting this great deal for yourself.
Hello, my name is Eric Williams, and I'm a Comcast employee. And in 2009, I made the great decision to go back to school, and I chose the University of Phoenix. Why? Because it's a great institution, and it fit into my working lifestyle. And I encourage you to join the University of Phoenix. It gave me the business acumen to launch my own home web-based business, Detroit Made Inc., which is an apparel company that caters to the success and the rebirth of Detroit. So University of Phoenix, I thank you. Go back to school, get your Associates of Art degree or whatever degree you want at the University of Phoenix. You won't regret it. I am Detroit Made because of University of Phoenix.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Hey That's Easy, the variety show showcasing relevant topics that are helpful and easy. I'm your host, Lawton Luntz. Episode 6 features guests that will talk about the road ahead in business and life. We also have an inspiring story about a Metro Detroit father who continues to make sure kids are equally treated, especially during lunchtime. Joining me is Ava. Welcome. We get to do this again.
Always the best time with you, Lon, and this show is going to be amazing like all the rest. Thank you everyone for joining us. I think it's safe to say that 2020 has helped us reevaluate how we do business and we live life, right? And I think tonight we will certainly be able to see that with our guests and what they're going to share with us. So super excited for that.
Absolutely. Well, I had mentioned in the open that this, of course, is a variety show, but it's also a collaboration between the University of Phoenix and the communities team from Xfinity. Ava, the road ahead could certainly include earning a degree or an attempt at postgraduate education.
That's right. If you're thinking about finishing what you started, University of Phoenix, always a great option. Of course, we have classes as short as 5 weeks long for undergrad, graduate just 6 weeks. We have doctoral classes, a free application, career support for life, over 100 degree options. So just a really great time to get started. We can help you piece that together. Work-life experience credits can be earned. Obviously, you can visit www.phoenix.edu. You may have an employer that is in alliance with us that can get you a further discount. So that's always awesome. I know Comcast employees do very well. Please do reach out to me if you're thinking about the road ahead and piecing that together. And I'm sure we're going to hear from some great guests that can further tell us about colleges and universities right now and all the changes. So super excited. And as always, what's happening at Xfinity Communities and Comcast?
Well, I bet you couldn't guess tonight. It's all about Xfinity Mobile, right? So we've got it to a point now where I've just been telling people to go to the website. Do your due diligence, xfinity.com/mobile. We are actually offering on 4 lines $30 a line, which makes us competitive in this marketplace with cellular. In addition, there's an actual Xfinity mobile calculator. It's an online calculator on the website that you can go to and put your current numbers in for what your current service provider is providing and see if it actually makes sense for you. You know, do your due diligence. If you already have Xfinity internet, like I've been saying all along, it's time to check out Xfinity Mobile. So that's what's going on. That's what's happening at Xfinity. And honestly, that's our biggest area of opportunity for our business. So we've been plugging away all year.
Pretty exciting. Exciting light up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, coming up on episode 6, a relationship expert will join us to detail common changes she is seeing in 2021. Also, how important your brand has become for your career. It may just start with your wardrobe. Well, before we get started with our first guest, we have an update for those that tuned into episode 5. We featured a first-time fundraiser who was helping a local family in Metro Detroit. On May 1st, Nicole Maxfield and her team of helpers facilitated Tiffany's Cupcake fundraiser, raising nearly $25,000. A plethora of silent auction items were available to bid on. The family received private donations. And of course, as you can see, the cupcakes were available. Tiffany was unable to return home after her surgery due to her heart condition without major renovations. The funds will help the process get started eventually, getting Tiffany home.
Oh, so touching.
And we did have a chance to interview Nicole. I don't think we're having some audio issues, but she was extremely grateful. When I was there, the turnout was unbelievable. Just walking in and seeing everyone available there, it was amazing. So kudos to her, jumping in on her first fundraiser and going crazy, right? I mean, the turnout, there was hundreds of people there. And to be able to raise that amount of money in her first attempt, I think was really good. Additional fundraisers are being held for Tiffany in the coming weeks, and local contractors have actually started work on that house in good faith to get the house in order. And additional donations can be made to a PayPal link that we can provide on our site. And yeah, everything was great with that. It was a pleasure to be part of that event. And she was
that looked like an amazing event. That looked like fun. I wish I could have gone. A fun time and a good cause. My two favorite things.
She was so grateful for being a part of the show, and she's a huge promoter. And she really thoroughly felt that after the show, she got a nice little boost in donations. So if any of the viewers are out there, you know who you are. If you donated, we sincerely appreciate it. And I know that family does too. So
absolutely.
Good stuff, right?
Every bit helps. Every bit helps. That's awesome. I hope they can continue to help her. Nicole is awesome doing that. And yes, we need more people like Nicole out there.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Now for our first guest, Ava, we talked in the open about continuing education and what is changing as far as the learning landscape.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So we have Christian Hicks from phillycolleges.org. He is a president and someone I've had the pleasure of working alongside the last couple of years. And Christian, you have done so many amazing things for the community. I know you, and for Penn State as well. But yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective. I know we've had a glimpse of it through some of the videos on phillycollege.org. But I think you really have some great insight. And one of the first questions I think a lot of people are thinking about right now is, what is the future for colleges and universities? Has the pandemic shaped the education landscape over the last year? Do you think it's going to stick? Are some of the changes going to float into the coming years, or do you think we're going to go back? So this past year, I mean, how has the pandemic shaped education? How will colleges and universities, how have they reacted? And what do you think will stick?
I always have to take a deep breath before tackling a question like that. Out there. This has been the greatest blessing and greatest curse of our generation. Outside of the public health component, it caused an interruption in everyone's lives. Higher ed similarly was impacted the same way. The pandemic interrupted international recruitment. Just in short, in most cases, that's the lifeblood of most colleges and universities. I work for Penn State, and Penn State, like most schools, we had to suspend all of our face-to-face recruiting activity and pivot to delivering classes and recruitment events online. The most notable change, like most of you listening now, our staff began to work remotely as well. So I'm not going to show you what I'm wearing now. I have a shirt, but I also have shorts on under this. That has become the attire because we have all shifted to a virtual landscape. Especially for the adult learner, higher ed has had to pivot. And in doing research, many of the market forces that have shaped higher ed during the pandemic had already been shifting prior to the pandemic. So now we have to invest in support services. At Penn State Great Valley, where I'm at, we now have on-site counseling services to help with the adult population cope with whatever they may be facing. And some schools had to shift their programming, which is why you see more comprehensive programs dedicated to analytics and diversity and inclusion, especially in light of what happened within this last year. And there's also more of an emphasis on soft skills. So in short, we just had to innovate. And there's a saying, if you don't innovate, you die. The pandemic has given us an opportunity to be innovators.
So you feel a lot of these changes were obviously for the greater good, and they will stick around. We're going to see a lot of these new counseling services and diversity initiatives and continue to grow as they are much needed. And that will be the change that is for the best. So is higher education still valuable? What are the types of jobs higher education unlocks, especially in this job market? I know we see some people who are, maybe somebody who was, college is not for me, right? You get those.
That a lot.
We've seen our share, maybe at Philly colleges, but yeah, I mean, as far as, is higher education still valuable? And what are the types of jobs that higher education unlocks, especially in this job market?
Yeah, great question. The short answer is yes. Higher education is still valuable. I have, and Ava, you probably have had many conversations over the last year about how someone can recession-proof, pandemic-proof, or anything-proof their career. And the answer to all the above is education. Regardless of the level of education, everyone was impacted and is still being impacted by the global pandemic and a lot of the market forces that we've experienced over the last year. But in looking back through research, there is a strong correlation between the level of education and the unemployment rate. So real quick example, for those with a high school diploma, the unemployment rate over the last year was 15%. But for a bachelor's degree, it was 10%. With a master's degree, it was 5%. And with a doctorate, it was 4%. So you see that the higher the education, the more that you recession-proof, pandemic-proof, or anything-proof your career. And I would argue, because these are very ultra-competitive times, education is still the key. So the second part of your question, Ava, the type of jobs. And I know most of your listeners are thinking, where are these jobs? What type of jobs? What do I invest in? So I am going to tell you, I will spare you having to read the 2018 to 2028 Bureau of Labor Statistics projections. And so by each degree, there are specific jobs that are hot. With an associate's degree, paralegals and legal assistants are one of the most important and booming industries. For bachelor's, not a shock, registered nurse. For a master's, nurse practitioners. Doctorates, health specialties teachers. So you see a correlation between the teachers and then the jobs that the teachers teach. So if you're interested in healthcare, not a shock, this is an economy for you. The one thing I want to quickly preface is I don't want to force anyone into one of these careers if it's not your passion. But this is an invitation just to start talking to that career counselor, talk to a recruiter at a university, talk to a mentor, and there is going to be something in your passion that lines up with a career that may be booming in the next year or two.
Wow. I mean, that brings me to my next question. I mean, obviously there's going to be certain fields that are going to be in demand. Healthcare. Yeah. We needed our healthcare workers this past year more than ever. That goes without saying. Absolutely. So I know that for someone who maybe has a bachelor's degree, maybe just even, or doesn't have a bachelor's or just has an associate's, do you encourage them to, if they can't take that full step for a full degree and an MBA or a bachelor's, a certification, some type of short burst learning option as well? Do you think any education in this market is good?
Yes, any education you can get. And, in my position as an associate director of recruitment, I have to be in the position of understanding everyone's financial background, academic background.
Yes.
There have been some cases, and Ava, you can probably attest as well in your position, there have been some cases where a master's degree may not be the best fit. It may be a certificate. It may be project management. It might be a micro credential. Another thing that the pandemic has unlocked is stackable degrees. Now, they've been out for a while, but the pandemic is really focusing a renewed interest on that. So there are ways to kind of create your own degree at a lower cost as opposed to paying for the degree that I paid for 10 years ago. I'm not going to put my university out on blast like that.
I'm still paying for my college loans as well. I mean, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And that's what deters others, but we don't want to deter others.
Right. And so I would say to all your listeners that now is a great time. LinkedIn Learning. If you can invest, less than $100, you can get a badge on LinkedIn Learning or a certificate online. There are so many options before you get to a full degree program that really, as long as you can just invest your time, there's definitely an offering for you.
We have a question from the audience, and I'll just kick in here. But what about IT careers and getting a credential like a certificate in IT? So I know my next question can kind of lead into this as you answer it. But I know we were going to talk a little bit about automation and artificial intelligence a little bit. Will our jobs be replaced by robots? But touching on this question here, what about IT careers and getting a credential or certificate? Recommended.
I recommend it. And you know what, the one thing I will say is it depends on your career trajectory. It depends on where your passion lies, because I can take two people interested in IT and recommend one goes for like a certificate and the other goes for like a full degree program. So it also depends on if your job has tuition reimbursement. It depends on your personal finances. In some cases, depending on the credential, a professional designation like project management or something in IT will give you a greater earning potential than if you get a master's degree. So one of the things that I recommend for the person that submitted the question is to have that conversation with someone at a university and also pair that with someone that's in industry. And more than likely, you'll get the answer to whether the certification is the best route or if a full master's degree would be the best route.
You're popular tonight, Christian. Another question. Thank you. What are the best job search websites and techniques for finding employment in this post-pandemic environment? Whew. Any thoughts on websites and techniques for finding employment as we move forward post-pandemic?
You're going to laugh. I'm going to say Google. Google, if the algorithm for Google is amazing. I would also say LinkedIn is another great resource. Back when I was in the job market for the first time over a decade ago, I would go to monster.com, but I haven't used that as much. I personally use LinkedIn because it's a networking tool. And the beauty of LinkedIn is that for some jobs that are posted, you get to see the recruiter. I recommend reaching out to that recruiter and finding out exactly what that job entails. Sell yourself, put your little commercial out there. And that's something that a monster.com couldn't do, a decade ago. So I would say LinkedIn #1 for the professional network. I would also say Google #2 because it aggregates jobs from all over the place. It really comes down to your search terms. So if you're looking for a project manager in 19403, make sure you put that in your search. Be as granular as you can, and you'll find that it spits out results that are pertinent to you.
That's awesome advice, Christian. Well, you're the person who knows all those fun facts. I've come to find that out. You've just got great resources, and that's why Philly College is another just fantastic resource.
Yes.
But let's circle back to the automation question. A lot of people are fearful. I actually met with someone from Ford recently who was talking about it. We're coming up with electric cars. Things are automated. The world is shifting. Do you think we're going to be replaced by artificial intelligence and automation, and how do we kind of sidestep that by using education moving forward?
Yeah, no, great. And I love entertaining this question. It makes a lot of people sweat, like I'm perspiring right now.
I'm sweating just
these lamps. But the one thing, the real quick answer is that automation can't replace the things that make us innately human. Being able to carry on a conversation, being able to interpret nonverbal cues. A lot of automation is binary. It's either yes or no, hot or cold. But what makes us human is that we're able to look at many different dichotomies, be able to rationalize and reason with our brain based off of past experience, and then be able to produce an answer. So on the flip side, the jobs that will be going away in the next 10 years are jobs that are easily you can easily use automation for, like tellers, bookkeepers, cashiers, office clerks, retail salesperson, like I used to be years ago, executive secretaries. And this is all according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I'm not putting that out there. And I don't want a teller to be watching this saying, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. But I do want to encourage you that knowing where automation is taking us and knowing the threats that automation has, to start investing in the human skills, start taking those communications courses. They could be like through LinkedIn Learning. They could be a badge, a professional certification. Start thinking about what you like to do. Start thinking about where your passion lies, and start looking at the jobs that may be in a hot industry that's tied to the humanities, like in healthcare, or any job where you're helping someone else. I'm not saying that you have to totally leave your passion. I'm just challenging you to think about what you're currently doing, what you're passionate about, and what type of education or training can get you there so that you don't have to worry about automation. Automation at its very best should be a complement for people, not a replacement.
Right. So don't kill your passion. Passion's a big part of it, but maybe you can steer your passion into something that's also very much in demand, so that you're selective about it. And I 100% agree. If you're going to go to college and invest yourself, there's some high demand positions that you might just be perfect for. You just need to research them, right? And that brings me to my next question, Christian. What is the best piece of advice for a working adult considering higher education?
Well, I'm about to give Nike a plug, and I need to get my check in the mail for this. Just do it. Just do it. I don't care what your income is. I don't care what your time looks like. There are so many offerings out there now. Whether you don't have any money, whether you're laid off, whether you have a full-time job with 5 kids and you're taking care of parents, there are so many different ways to consume education. You can jump into a program that allows you to go at your own pace. You just have to keep moving. If you can't walk, if you can't run, at least you can crawl. So find a way to invest your time in education, invest time in yourself, because if you want to get a degree next year, that means you have to take the first steps this year. So don't think about the end. You have to think about the beginning. That's right. And just one point to make everyone feel a little bit better. The economy needs home health aides, statisticians, physician's assistants, solar panel installers, speech pathologists, information security analysts. So I talked about all the jobs that may be going away. The jobs that I listed, a lot of those jobs have transferable skills from those jobs that are going away. So I wouldn't look at this as a threat. I would just look at it as an opportunity to increase your earning potential, because I know everyone likes money, probably more than we'd like to admit. But just think, your teller job, when it goes away, you possibly could jump into a statistician position and add another $20,000 to your earning potential. So keep an open mind, just do it, and then find some resources to help you.
And that will kind of bring us to a great resource that I know both of us share as Philly Colleges. You're the president. And is that where we can reach you, Christian? And also where we can have our audience learn more about all the different colleges available to them?
Definitely. Okay. So yeah, if you want to see my beautiful face, just go to phillycolleges.org and click on the My Story link, and you'll get to see myself. You'll get to see a picture of Ava. You'll get to see the other board members. But more importantly, you'll get to see the 20 schools that we represent. And so each of these schools represents an opportunity. We're not trying to steer you in any direction. We just want to help you. So I encourage you, if you have any takeaways from this conversation, even if you fell asleep 10 minutes ago and are just coming back, go to phillycolleges.org, click on the link, check out the schools, have a great conversation with one of our contacts, and recession-proof, pandemic-proof, and anything-proof your career.
That's right. Thank you so much, Christian. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, rolling right along. Yes, such a great source of information, Christian Hicks. Thank you, Christian. Yes, and we do education fairs for the general public, all kinds of wonderful things. So, yes,
great takeaways about being passionate about what you're doing and being granular in your search as well, because those are certainly important. I mean, I just hope Christian gets his check from Nike. I mean, at the very bare minimum,
I guess we all get a cut then, huh?
Well, great job with Christian. Now I'm really excited about our next guest. Her favorite passion of her profession is being a mom, but she is also a published author and a relationship expert. It's going to talk about some of the changes she's been seeing in 2021. Geraldine, welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Or aloha, as I like to say, even though I'm back in Philly.
That's right. You're from my stomping grounds over here, Philadelphia. I love it.
Yes.
So this is actually such an important topic, and one that I've really wanted to share with people, because one of the things I kept hearing about during this past year is how people are quarantined, stuck together with their significant others, and things kind of went crazy. A lot of isolation. Yeah, you mix in the job loss, mix in the isolation, mix in all of that. So what are some of the issues, in particular, you being a relationship expert, that have affected relationships during the pandemic that you're seeing a lot of? Please share.
Basically, what's going on is I think people are being forced to recognize who they are and who their partner is and what their relationship really looks like.
Ooh.
If we think about, especially parents today, or even couples where it's both people are working,
Mm-hmm.
or even just housemates and things like that. People are running. You're constantly focusing on something else. You're looking at your phone. You're doing this, you're doing that. And we have really lost that connection that we had. And being together did one of two things. It either made people feel very close to one another and really start to recognize how much they depended on one another and how much they loved each other. So they had a resurgence in their love affair, so to speak. And there's a lot of people who are single who also went through a resurgence of either I hate being alone, so I need to find somebody right now, or I want to get to know who I am and what I want, finally. A lot of what I've seen is people are turning more towards wanting to really break through the masks that we wear all the time and stop trying to please everybody else and try to figure out what they want.
A lot of self-reflection, it sounds like. We had time to reflect on
Yeah,
ourselves, reflect on our significant others, or reflect on the fact that we're just lonely and isolated, right?
Exactly. Like, people don't know how to be alone anymore. They don't know how to not be entertained
Mm-hmm.
and constantly running. And that avoidance was put to an absolute stop. I mean, you could do it for a little while, but there's only so many Seinfeld reruns you can watch, you know?
Yeah, that touches on what Christian was saying about the social skills that maybe the next generation could be lacking. So this is all very, very important stuff. So what are some key attributes to a healthy relationship that you would say in your experience as a relationship expert? What's important?
A healthy relationship always starts with knowing how to listen. We're always ready to talk about how we want to be perceived and tell stories about ourselves. And so often we don't know how to actively listen because we're just waiting to say our next piece. Learning how to actively listen is huge with having a good relationship. So it's mutual respect, having boundaries that are healthy boundaries. And a healthy boundary is not drawing a line in the sand. A healthy boundary is more like a guardrail. It's there, it's solid, it's there all the time. It's basically immutable unless there's a catastrophe of some kind. So you want to have healthy boundaries.
I like that. I know we talked briefly on the phone, and I like to go off topic sometimes, but
Not a problem.
But you told me such an interesting thing. You said passion is actually fear of losing someone. So that feeling of being in love and that euphoria, for those out there, is actually scary. It's not a good feeling, not healthy. Can you just
it's how we're labeling it. So all energy and all emotions are neutral. It's what we then add to it with our minds and what we decide to call it, whether or not we think it's good or bad, whether it's acting for us or against us. So people are like, I want a passionate relationship. The passion is gone. The passion is gone means that you've finally gotten to have a partner who you can trust and count on. That's a good thing. You can still have romance, but the passion part itself is actually our body response, a physical response to fear of loss. So you're throwing yourself all in. You're kind of like throwing yourself.
It's our wacky hormones, right?
Yes.
Makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
So what is the success rate that you've had, helping people with their relationships? Is it pretty slim? I mean, I know we say half of all relationships end in divorce, and you hear those like terrible statistics, but do you find that you have, a good rate of success?
It depends. So what I have a great rate of success with is for people to recognize where they're at and what it can be. So I've had people come to me who were in abusive relationships, and they tried to drag their significant other in with them. And within 3 appointments, generally, I will be able to tell you whether or not your relationship is going to work. Because if it's just one person wanting to do the work, it's not going to work. When you both come in and you both make the decision to be honest and really work on things, then you have a really good chance of success.
Right. That makes sense.
And it's also, how do we define success? I define success as the people involved and their families having a healthy outcome, being happy at the end of it. Not necessarily with me, but being happy and knowing what direction they want to take and being healthy. So I'm not here to force together like things that don't belong together. I'm here for you to recognize maybe you don't belong together, but this is how we can consciously uncouple, or this is how we can co-parent together without like going after each other.
That word's very popular with the divorcees now, nesting and conscious uncoupling and all this new age technique.
Conscious uncoupling just simply means that you act like an adult. Instead of acting like a hormonal child. Yes. It's very simple. Very simple concept.
I love it. Honesty. It's about respect. I know you touched on that a little bit about respecting your partner and, appreciating the little things they do, even when you think it's their job to just do it. So, right?
Learning the love languages. What does your partner need? What do you need? And I think COVID actually helped us a lot with that, because it became front and center that we need to really figure out, what is it that I want? What is it that I need versus what I want? And how can I support my partner, and how can they support me? And to be able to actually communicate that. I think that's a big thing, is being able to communicate so that you're heard, and knowing how to listen so that you understand.
So you feel that a lot of people maybe don't seek that advice from a relationship expert. What are some of the misconceptions?
They all think they know it all.
They think
Don't we all know it all? Especially when we first get into a relationship. I find one of the
not
things
us, right? We don't need the help.
We don't need people. What is that? Everybody knows that. And what it does is, I enjoy working with couples and single people, no matter what. However, I enjoy working with couples who are either thinking about getting married or have just become married. I have been a questionable wedding gift to several couples.
They've gifted you? You have like a gift card? That's actually a great wedding gift. My new wedding gift. Go-to wedding gift.
And it's like people,
Carolyn.
Usually one person's like, oh, this is great. Then the other one's like, what is that? Why do we need that? And the thing is, especially in the first year of marriage, to have an outsider look at things and explain things to each of you so that you come to a deeper understanding of each other is hugely effective and hugely helpful for you staying together, and not just staying together, but being satisfied with one another and knowing how to communicate with one another and be joyful and happy in your relationship. And isn't that what we all want?
That's the most important thing. Absolutely. So thank you so much. Geraldine, tell me, I know you've written a few books, probably over a dozen books on various topics.
So I like 6, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have you back for a future episode with some of the other cool topics that you focus on. But do tell us how we can reach out for relationship advice from your services, please.
About the books real quick, the ones that really relate to relationships and whatnot are Completing the Circle, Path to Self-Empowerment, Discovering the Whole Self, Living Life at 100%, the 5 L's of Parenting, which you can use for anything, and 50 Ways You Can Change the World, Small Steps to Making the World a Better Place. The other ones are paranormal stuff.
I know. So cool. But all of these, I want to read them all. They all sound like just super important books to read. And
so what you can do is simply text me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a text number, which is 215-550-1301. That's 215-550-1301. And I'm sure you guys will put up like the website and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll make sure to put that on the site for anyone who might have missed it.
Easy peasy. If you Google my name, all kinds of stuff comes up.
Oh, yeah.
Geraldine
Joseph. Yes, you'll get the whole spread. So, Geraldine, always a pleasure talking to you. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. I know we could delve into so many different areas with relationships, but we appreciate you. Thank you. Hi, Lon.
Hey, what truth when she said we all think we know everything, right?
She's just, she's so real about it, and it's just so fascinating to me how she looks at, we need that outside light sometimes to shine down on us and see it in a different perspective, I think.
Yeah, and I encourage all viewers to go to her, check out her bio on Amazon. A lot of great books that she's written, and she is a very well-rounded, well-versed individual. I mean, my gosh, there's so many. So I couldn't believe all the different books that she had with all the different topics. There's things about paranormal activity, as you can see.
We're going to save that for
Geraldine is she's multidimensional, that's for sure.
We're going to, we've got so many great, things to present from her around Halloween time.
Absolutely.
She has some stories. Yes, absolutely.
Well, so far we've seen what the road ahead looks like for education and relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And now, what about the way we all carry ourselves in business? Let's bring in Pam Edson for an eye for detail. Pam, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're just going to jump right into this. All right. I have a quick question. So as you can see, I'm very familiar with career apparel. And that's typically what I wear when I'm on a lot of my calls. And I know a lot of business is conducted today via Zoom, Microsoft Teams, what have you. What's the best look for being on camera in a virtual world?
Well, you said something very important, your brand. So for those that have a brand and identify, the polo shirt with it is wonderful. And it's a great color because blue is a wonderful and warming, inviting color. It's also a calming color. For those of us who are on Zoom, wearing a nice bright color can help as well. Because really, what are we selling? We're selling ourselves. So it's energetic. It creates a nice, energy around us. So I tell people to wear a nice color as opposed to white or black with a background or pastel colors, because there's really nothing that zaps you to the other person.
And it's too bright on camera, right? I was always told that during broadcasting, white was bad, and lines are pretty awful too.
White is bad, and patterns and solids. Thank you for bringing that up. Solids are always good. So
excellent. So next question. Sure. What about us that have gained a little quarantine weight? The clothes don't fit as well, and we have to head back to the office. What is your advice?
My advice is that we have to take ourselves into consideration. So that may mean going out and buying a few new things. We are always investing in ourselves. Hopefully we go to school, we learn, we listen. So my advice is to go to the store and buy a couple items, maybe a pair of pants or two, or dress or whatever it is, depending on your industry, and some tops that you feel good in, because we must always feel comfortable, feel like ourselves, and feel good in what we're wearing. There's the body, there's the body image, there's the body energy. And of course, people pick up on how we feel about ourselves. So it doesn't have to be a huge investment, but it should be an investment that you make in yourself.
Now, how do you determine what color combos go best with your clients? Because I know, full disclosure, we've both seen folks that wear that shirt and we're like, ooh, that's not really their color or whatnot. So how do you determine that?
Well, personal styling is very personal. So one thing that I want to tell everyone is that when somebody feels really wonderful in what they're wearing, I never, ever tell them that it doesn't look great. If they ask me and I see it differently, personal styling is about a collaboration. It's about sharing ideas. So I want people to be happy. And what we do is I listen, I take some of what they're doing or wearing, and then we try to make it work for both of us. So I say, this is a better color or style for you. I know you love this. Let's see if we can do it together. Another point is people need to look in the mirror. I can't tell you how often people get dressed and don't look in the mirror, or they go into their closet and pull clothes out and they don't have a light bulb, believe it or not. I mean, silly little things like that. I also want to share something that I am so passionate about, and that is your smile is your best accessory.
I agree. It really
so
is
important. And people are sometimes afraid of smiling too much. They want to look serious or they want to project a certain image. No, people want to be engaged. They want to listen to you, and people want to feel comfortable. So I suggest practice smiling.
I do it all the time.
Right.
Now,
Great.
another question, how do you get, obviously if you have to go back and buy some new clothes, there's a cost associated. So how do you get folks out of their comfort zone when it comes to cost?
Okay. So what's happened during COVID, as we all know, some of us have gained weight, like we talked about. Some of us have lost jobs, whatever it is. What I suggest is, first of all, go into your closet, number one, and try on what you already own, because very often there are pieces hidden that you forget about or that you haven't worn. I guarantee it's a great place to start, and you can save money by doing that, whether it's a top, a jacket, or whatever it is. So start in your closet, organize it, and know what fits you and that you feel good in. And again, you must be comfortable in the clothes. And then you think about, how often are you going to the office? Many of my clients are starting 1 day, 2 days, so they don't need quite as many outfits. And I suggest, I'm always a fan of less is more. Buy a great jacket or two that you can mix and match with different tops, with different polo shirts or button down, whatever it is that you're wearing. So invest a little bit more into those important pieces. If you wear earrings or a tie, those are pieces that you can spend a little less. You get your money's worth when you invest in those pieces, because they're going to last you in the long run.
Now, how do you encourage those that not only just step out for cost, but maybe step out for a fashion sense? Like maybe they just aren't used to wearing a certain style or color. Like, what do you do to encourage them?
Well, people are afraid of change. We tend to wear the same clothes. We wear the same things with the same pieces. I call them the go-tos. Yep. So what I do is suggest baby steps. So if I suggest to a woman, why don't you wear a bigger earring, for example? What I will always hear is, I don't wear big earrings. No, I didn't mean a big earring. I just meant something larger than what you're wearing. Step it up. A little baby step. Try. If you're used to wearing a navy and white striped tie, or you don't wear a tie, try something that's within your style, which most people, once they really look in their closet, they're going to get a sense whether they're a fashionista or they're conservative. And then try. Just go gradually. Ask someone. Ask if you find someone in the store, or reach out to me. I'm always happy to say, that's a great color for you. You should wear it more. But it's fear that stops us. So try baby steps.
Are there any current fashion trends for our viewers that you've seen that you really like, or colors that are in at this point in time in the year?
Well, we all know that everybody's been wearing leggings and sweatpants.
Yes. For the last year.
Right. We did that last year. So what I am telling people that the trend is really to be what they're calling elevated business casual. Of course, it depends on the industry and where you work, etc. But it's stepping up. It's taking those leggings off, leaving them at home. Or if you wear jeans, a nice pair of jeans, not the ragged, baggy, whatever it is, with a nice top. So the trend is comfort, but branching out a little bit, elevating it a little bit, add a necklace, or, remembering that we feel good when we look good. And most people do. If you're used to wearing black during COVID, bring out a color. Blue shirt, red top. Rainy day, carry a bright umbrella. Fun little things. I'm a huge fan of color because it makes us feel good.
Sure. Absolutely. We did have a question from one of our viewers. They were asking about fashion leggings. What do you feel about those in the workplace?
So I first will say, where are you working? Because if you're in fashion, it's perfectly acceptable. If you're in a law office, it's not acceptable. You have to really dress for where you are. I know things have gotten more casual, and they were before COVID as well. But you've got to know what the brand is. If you're in law, there's a certain look. If you're in fashion, as I said, there's a certain look. If you're in advertising. So get to know the industry because there are guidelines, and then being true to yourself and seeing what's worn in that office really is important.
Just a couple more questions, Pam.
Okay.
This really is relevant to me, and I'm thinking many viewers too. I have a ton of clothes that I never wear. They just sit in the drawer. I occasionally will bring them out, but I almost feel bad that over the course of my life, I have so many polos and T-shirts and jeans and whatnot. What do you do with some of that stuff besides donating it? What do you recommend?
First of all, you must try it on. If you know that something really doesn't fit, it's time consuming. Block out an hour on your calendar a week. Try things on, as I said. And I do believe in donating. There are schools, there are so many different places that really appreciate the clothes, and they're opening up now, a lot of, clothing closets. So, but you've got to get rid of those things. I believe clothes have energy, and the clothes that we don't wear talk to us. They say, you spent a lot of money. You haven't worn me. So go through them. You really need to see, can you make them work or donate? There are so many different people who can use them. And, I always say somebody's, what you throw away is somebody else's treasure. So you really have to go revisit those things, but get rid of it. We wear 20 to 25% of what's in our closet. It's mindful of time and money, and we should wear what we love and feel good in, and that fits.
I sense that I'm going to be making some life decisions on some old pieces of clothing in my near future.
Right brain, left brain. How much do you need, and how do you feel? How do you like? Look in the mirror and see if you're standing up straight. You'll know whether you should keep it or not.
Make a decision and move forward. Where can our viewers find you, Pam, if they would like to move along further with you and get some more advice?
Okay. Love for anyone to reach out to me. I'm at pam@ifordetailnj.com. I work with both men and women. I do tend to receive more women, but that's okay. If you have a question, I'm happy to help. You can text me as well. 201-575-2626. No question is too small. I just encourage everyone, think about how you feel, because the truth is when we feel good, we're golden. And when we look in the mirror and we like what we see, we're confident, right?
Absolutely. Pam, I thank you so much. I love the command the room, especially in business. Your brand says so much about you. And if you have a solid wardrobe, that goes right along with it. We really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you. Pam Edson, an eye for detail. She was great. And I know, Ava, you can take some advice, although you always look pretty good on camera.
Oh, I could have talked to her all night. Yeah. I mean, organizing your closet, check. Post-pandemic. Yeah. Just dressing the right colors. so many things, so many variables. But yeah, she was wonderful. Definitely. No harm in seeking out some help as we move forward here, because we're about to take those first steps back into reality in the real world.
Great guest tonight. You know, unfortunately, our next guest, he was dedicated. He was stuck in traffic, couldn't make it back home to get a good signal. He was going to try to hop on with his phone. Tony Casanova. He was our invisible dad. A very inspiring story. So we're going to try to get him either on the June episode or maybe do just a feature story that we can post on the Hey That's Easy site for Facebook. Also encourage those that haven't already to subscribe to our YouTube page. You will get to see edited and future versions right on there on the YouTube page. So feel free to do that. Just a great time with the show tonight, Ava. We had a lot of great guests.
Absolutely. And, life happens, and it's just so wonderful to have different fresh perspectives from everybody on how to move forward. And just, you need to hear those words of affirmation once in a while. It's okay to try something new. It's okay to step out. I know a lot of us have been kind of isolated, and it's a new world. The road ahead.
Pam has no idea how many clothes I have. It's pretty crazy. My wife, in addition, we both
guilty.
have so many clothes. We gotta make some decisions and get rid of some things. So no worries.
Clothing swaps. They're going to be hot this year.
Well, once again, just want to remind everyone to share our episode from our YouTube page. That'll be up a little bit later this evening. Like us on Facebook. Join us for episode 7 in June. And to all of our viewers and guests, we sincerely thank you for your support. For Ava, I'm Lawton. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, That's Easy.